What's going on, everyone? So, there's been a lot of buzz just going on this offseason about Jimmy Butler and his potential departure from the Miami Heat. That this is more likely than not going to be his last season with Miami. He's expected to opt out and test free agency. Obviously, I mean, it's understandable at his age, right? Rather than opting in, if you can get more long term money, rather than like, yeah, like you're opting in and getting 50 plus million, but for 1 year. And then after that, teams are just trying to pay you, 10 million or whatever. So like 3 year span, you make 70 million. Or you could, opt out and maybe sign a 3 year deal to where you get 90 or 100 million or whatever, right? So you see that a lot with these players, especially as they start getting later in age. Jimmy Butler, though, he's just like, he is Heat culture in a lot of ways, right? Like, in my opinion, Jimmy Butler found the perfect place for him, for his personality. Pat Riley is kind of like the perfect compliment. Now, I don't buy personally, again, this is just my opinion. I don't buy personally Jimmy Butler wanting to leave because of like the Pat Riley comments and clapback to Jimmy Butler, when Jimmy Butler, and I'm paraphrasing off the top of my head basically, but said, hey, something along the lines of like, if I was in these games, we would have won, right? And then Pat Riley basically clapped back and was like, hey, people that didn't play shouldn't talk. Again, kind of paraphrasing there, but I don't look at that as Jimmy Butler's like, oh, fine, I'm out of here. Like he's known as that a-hole himself, right? And he loves Pat Riley for this stuff. And like Jimmy Butler's just the kind of guy where he's probably like, okay, all right, watch, right? Like not in the sense of like oh, I'm out of here, like, diva, like I'm leaving type thing. He's that competitor. Right? You look at all the problems he's had at teams like, Minnesota and stuff like that. It's not been because he's, dramatic, or it's because, work ethic and just the drive and the culture of these places and, the way that he feels players aren't playing to the best of their ability. And Jimmy Butler doesn't like that, right? So, Miami just fits him perfectly, his kind of attitude and his persona and the way that, he is competitive. And Miami has like certain criterias and like weight requirement, all kinds of stuff that you have to meet in order just to be on the team, right? So like it fits Jimmy just seamlessly. I think Jimmy Butler wants to leave because, Miami's kind of, like, do we really want to pay him till he's 40, right? And max money and all that stuff and 60 plus million a year, right? And, not just that, but I'm sure Jimmy, I also think that this is a form of pressure, right? I think it's pressure in several ways, right? I think one, it's pressure in the sense of like he wants more long-term money and he's like, hey, if you don't want to give it to me, I'm just going to leave, and wants a longer term deal where Miami, they're probably not looking to try to give him 4 years, right? At 60 million a year or whatever he'll be, that he can potentially get as far as like a new contract stuff goes, right? Like, I don't think it's that. And then on top of that, there's probably a level of pressure to like, hey, I want to win, right? Like Jimmy Butler has done quite a lot with very little. I mean, the guy's taken Miami to 2 finals with what many would consider subpar talent compared to some of the other teams that he's beaten, right? And it's just like, man, like, can you get me that piece? Can you get me that start? Can you get me that thing where we finally get pushed over the top? It's also why I don't buy, like, to further this sort of argument, I don't like, Brooklyn is the team that seems to be tied to Jimmy Butler. So, according to reports, Jimmy Butler is not only interested in going to Brooklyn, and it's supposedly his preferred place, but Brooklyn's also interested in bringing in Jimmy Butler. How, Sway? Like, why? Like, what are we talking about here? Right? Like, didn't Brooklyn just trade their best player in Mikal Bridges to the Knicks? Right now, like, look, if they had Mikal Bridges and, they kind of were like trying to maybe, like, hey, maybe we could get Jimmy Butler and like another star. Now you got like Jimmy, What you can't bring James Harden and Kyrie because I was just trying to think of names that are available next season, and I was like, oh, James Harden. Oh, wait, nope, James Harden can't do that. Oh, Kyrie, nope, can't do Kyrie. Right, so maybe they can find another star. Is the point next off season, and on top of Jimmy Butler, and now it's like, okay, you got that other star, Jimmy Butler, and Mikal Bridges, right? Boom, there you go. Now we're off to contention, right? And you still have like Nick Claxton and stuff like that, right? Like you could kind of figure it out. Or, you have like Cam Johnson and several players that, teams are interested in and teams would be open and willing to trade for, right? So maybe you can trade, a Dorian Finney-Smith and a Cam Johnson, go get that other stuff. Maybe you're patient until the trade deadline. So like, again, could Brooklyn maybe get there? But like, let's say you just have the team you have right now and you add Jimmy Butler. Okay, you're not doing anything. You're not going anywhere. You're not winning anything. Jimmy Butler, I mean, does he want to win or does he want the money more? Right? If he wants the money more, sure. Could Brooklyn, work it out to give him a max? Sure. Right? Like, but even then, it's just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Like, Brooklyn makes no sense to me. Brooklyn just doesn't add up as a realistic destination for Jimmy Butler. Not if you're trying to win, not if you're trying to beat it. And I mean, if you want the money and you want a better, you might as well just stay in Miami. I just think that this is a leverage play. I think that this is just that. I think it's, he's using Brooklyn as a destination. Hey, I'll go to Brooklyn and I can use Brooklyn as my place to kind of retool, revamp. They'll have a bunch of money. They'll have some players. They have tradable players and salaries and I just look at Brooklyn as just his way of kind of putting pressure on Miami. One, to maybe get something done, and two, probably more than anything, for Jimmy to get the long-term money. I think Jimmy wants the long-term bag. I don't think it makes sense for Jimmy Butler to leave Miami. Right? Like, where's he gonna go? Right? Like, one, how many teams are lining up to sign, 35-year-old Jimmy Butler at the time? Right? Like, and how many teams are willing to pay him max money? And how many teams need a guy like him? And it's just like you kind of go down the list and it's like how many teams want Jimmy Butler at this stage of his career, who again is still a very good player and is still a beast in the playoffs, but there's also questions about his injury history. He has not been this great model of health the last few years, and he doesn't seem to take the regular season. Not a guy that is looked at as like this playoff Jimmy is a real thing, right? Like Jimmy Butler says it's not, but everything says otherwise. And there is this perception of like in the regular season, he doesn't care, right? He could care less about the regular season. He just wants to fast forward and go to the playoffs. But you need to get through the regular season in order to be in the playoffs and win the playoffs. And it's like, even for Miami, it's like, it would be nice to not have to be in the play-in every season and have to win that extra game or whatever. And like, yes, they made it to a finals even as they had to go through the play-in and actually played 2 play-in games because they lost the first one. But still, it's like, like if you took the regular season a little more serious and you were a little more just kind of like on top of it, you wouldn't really have to worry about that so much. And it's becoming this question mark. So it's just, I wouldn't be shocked if Jimmy Butler leaves, right? Like, because, one, again, if he wants to win and the Heat don't really do anything, it's like, all right, like, you might as well go somewhere else. Two, just today's NBA, it's so common for players to just move and go different teams, go different places. But I also don't think it's as straightforward, cut and dry. I don't think it's as simple as just like Jimmy Butler leaving and moving to a new team, right? Because I just think that there's very few teams that can actually sign him. Miami, do they try to trade him? Do they look to trade him? Does he look to opt out? Right? I mean, it would almost like make more sense for him to request a trade, now or at the trade deadline. Ideally now, right? So that way you can kind of have a training camp with your new team, but try to get traded now, opt in next season, and then get the extension with the new team after that, right? Like, if you really wanted to maximize money and an opportunity to win, like, give Miami a list of a couple teams that you believe you can win a championship with and just go, hey, send me to one of these teams and there you go. Like, get the best return for me now. Now, Miami might just come to that conclusion in and of itself. Or Miami might just say, like, hey, let's let them walk. Right? But even then, it's just like, I don't know. It's just, Miami just kind of feels like they're in a bit of a rock and a hard place right now, personally. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you think that, this is just tactic from Jimmy Butler, right? He's just trying to get more money or try to win as a contender or, whatever, right? Do you think that this is just leverage? He's trying to put some pressure. Do you think, no, like, hey, Jimmy Butler's really going to leave? Do you think Brooklyn makes it? Like, again, Brooklyn makes no sense to me. No sense. It doesn't even make sense for Brooklyn to want Jimmy. Like, even if Jimmy really does want to go to Brooklyn, it makes zero sense for Brooklyn to actually go and get Jimmy Butler and sign him to a long-term deal. Unless, like I said, it's a move where you're not just getting Jimmy Butler, you're getting Jimmy Butler and, right? You're getting Jimmy Butler and, like, another star. And it's like, man, Jimmy Butler as, like, our second guy. Man, like, what can we do here, right? Type thing. But, and then maybe you're trading for those other complimentary pieces. Or maybe you're keeping them, right? Maybe you're keeping, Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith, and, you're able to go get a star guard or something. I don't know. But it's interesting to see how this all plays out. But, again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.